Okay, I just heard recording in progress, which is always the words that I need to hear. We give some authorizations here as well, real quick. So there we go. This is Lynn Hamilton, your lead instructor here at Sampson Properties, along with my little Cardinal friends, because I got some here and I got some there. So, I like my Cardinals. Um, so in this session today of Marketing Mastery, we're going to take a dive into, I used to say it was 24 marketing pillars. Yeah, there's actually 26. So I've added a couple and then recounted. So there you go. We are going to dive into this one head first. Now, this is, I'm going to say, a spin off from your Jumpstart session 4. In Jumpstart session 4, we talk about the marketing department of your business. So, as a reminder for our new agents or a reminder for our seasoned agents, Jumpstart is the 4 sessions that Donnie has said on many occasions, if he could make it mandatory, he would, because it's going to lay down the foundational pieces of the puzzle, if you will, that's going to allow us to build on and build up and build out your real estate business. It is important for you to remember that A, you are running a business, and B, your job is marketing, not sales. I always like to ask, show of hands, who thinks you're in sales? Who thinks you're in marketing? Who's afraid to answer because I ask trick questions? Which are you? You're actually in marketing. Yeah, both answers I'm seeing are going up. So you're actually in marketing. And marketing, the marketing department of your business, again, I'm repeating, but in the analogy that we use in Jumpstart session 4, I ask, why are there 4 chairs or 4 legs on the chair that you're probably sitting in, or 4 tires on the car that you probably have out in the driveway or the parking lot? It provides balance and stability. So the question that follows is, does our market change? Yeah, it does. Do we get to control those changes? Nope, we do not. However, we can adjust or change a tire or reinflate a tire anytime we need or want to. So the reason we break it down in that visual for you, you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. So if you're just doing one thing, that typically is not going to give you enough business coming in to sustain the level of production that you want. So by having 4 tires that you can inflate, you can then go a lot faster. And so this is where the 4 pillars, you can call them pillar, tire, post, whatever you want to call them, but having 4 different revenue generating components of your business is what's going to allow you to go a whole lot faster, a whole lot further, and breaking them down and planning them out. So we're going to go through what they are. We're going to talk a little bit about them. Know that on the Thursday Marketing Mastery time slot, I often will take one individual component or topic and take a deep dive head first right into it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the what to do, when to do it, how to do it, why to do it, what not to do, and why. Now you've been educated with the why, and now it'll help you make an informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not that pillar is in fact the best one for you. So, ready to jump in? Give me a thumbs up and let's go. All right, so there are always your first pillar or your first tire should be your database, wherever it's at. And that's why we have Jumpstart session 3 to educate you on the database, how to turn it into a vending machine versus a slot machine, the 4 categories within your database, how to tag and flag your SOI, an A, a B, a C, or a D. And again, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. That is a technique that I learned 100 years ago. And before, actually in marketing, before I came into real estate, but Brian Buffini teaches it. It's brilliant and it has withstood the test of time. You need to know who your A, your B, your C, and your D contacts are within your database. That is why Jumpstart Session 3 is so powerful. You will always be working on building out your database to make it stronger, to move everyone up into the A and B categories, and then building additional components of your service providers and transaction partners and your colleagues and other agents, and then obviously your Samson friends and family as well. All right, so you got that. We're going to set that aside. Now, if you know that you are not going to get all the business you want from your database, what do? You've got 26 options. So let's take a look at them. I will have this handout downloaded on my website, which is lynnhamilton.samsonproperties.net. As you know, there is an agent resource tab that I have added there for you because you are the agents that need the resources. Also from there is the drop-down box under agent resources. There's bonus handouts. There's listen and learn of common mistakes. There's how-to instructions of how to do almost anything and everything that we cover and we teach. The learning trails, again, Samson is unique in the fact that we now have the learning trails mapped out for everybody. And the last tab, drop-down tab, is listen and learn. That is where these recordings go onto that channel so you can retrieve them and listen to them at any point in time. And that is where this particular handout is going to be added as well. All right, so in the category of buyers, you have 5 types of buyers. I'm going to hit them real quick. You have your first-time home buyer, which means they're currently renting now. So their next step would be their first-time home buyer. Then you have the move-up buyer because their first home they bought now no longer meets their needs and they need to move up to something bigger. You often have the next step up of the dream or trophy home buyers. They need to sell what they have to buy something bigger, better, more elaborate, more bells and whistles, more to suit their lifestyle that they've been working 10, 15 years to build up to. Then you have the buyer that needs to downsize, which means they need to sell what they've got to buy something a little bit smaller. Again, the home no longer meets their needs. The 5th category in the buyer side is investors. Now, investors could be a one-time, they're just buying a rental property. They could be buying to flip and to resell. So those are the typical 5 types of buyers. Flip over to the other side. The 6 types of sellers. The seller that, oh, wait for it, the home no longer meets their needs. They need to move up into something a little bit larger. You have the seller that now needs to move down because the home no longer meets their needs. It's just too big. You have the seller that is needing to move because there's been a death. You have the seller that needs to sell because there's been a divorce. You have the seller that needs to sell because of a job relocation. You have the seller who needs to sell because they're an investor that does flipping. So they've bought it, upgraded it, and now they're ready to flip it and to sell it. So those are the 6 types of sellers. Common denominator on all of these is the home no longer meets their needs. And they need to either buy for the first time because they're tired of renting, or they need something bigger, smaller. There's been a death, a loss, a divorce, a job relocation, and They can't live here in the DMV footprint and drive to Austin, Texas every morning. So a change in work, often under the job relocation, sometimes that falls into retirement as well. They want to move to Florida. They want to move to Timbuktu where the family and the grandkids are at. So those are all specific targets. Now, let's move on. What are the other possibilities in the marketing department that you could go, ooh, I like that. I can go after it. So here's the list. We have the FSBO, for sale by owners. Those are often people that we used to brand them that they were stingy and didn't want to pay a commission compensation. Not always. Oftentimes, they at one point in their life had a real estate license and they may think they can do it on their own. So for sale by owners, we don't always know the reason, but they're out there. The next categories fall into a notice of default, which means they're struggling financially. They are not able to keep their payments up, oftentimes because of a job layoff or catastrophic illness within the family, and they just fall behind. It's not always that they're, just not a good person. A lot of times there's a life event that's now thrown them a curveball. So there's notice of default. There is also the next phase after that of foreclosures. Now, the notice of default typically gets filed. Again, it can vary lender by lender, but it's typically 45 to 90 days out that they've not made a payment. They'll have the notice of default filed. It could be different in different footprints. And that is kind of a pre-foreclosure notice. It's like if you can't get it together, then our next step is to go into foreclosure. So foreclosures are another option. The other option, or the next one on our list, is short sales. Now, many years ago, the market was inundated with short sales. A lot of times people thought that the short sale meant they could get it for less than market value and it would take a short amount of time. Yeah, let's just all laugh at that one, because if anybody that lived through that market, you knew that was not the truth. So short sales, again, occasionally are still there. It's not as rampant as it once was, but there are still occasions that we are finding short sales popping up. Now, I'm going to add a little bonus note here on that one, because this was just brought to my attention the other day. Go back in time to when we had the pandemic, and there were a lot of people that were not able to make their regular payments. They got deferred payments, which meant whatever they didn't make got added to the back end of their loan. Oftentimes, they assumed that that was being added into the regular loan. Not always. What we're now starting to find and see that it is actually a second on the house that now has to be paid. So what has happened a couple of times that was shared with me, and I'm just going to make up numbers for the example. They knew they owed $300,000. The home is currently worth $400,000. But when they filed to get their payoff, it was also brought to their attention there was a second of those deferred payments for $100,000. Now you add those two together, there's going to be a problem, because what they owe is what they can sell for, but it doesn't cover the cost of the transaction. So there may be some underwater short sales. Again, I just wanted to share that with you to be aware. And if you're going to be taking listings, ask the homeowner if during the time of the pandemic, did they have any deferred payments that we assumed were added into the back end of the loan. They need to check. It may have been added in the back end of the loan, but what many are finding, it was actually a secondary loan. And in their brain, they didn't calculate that. So again, just throwing that out as a, all right. Next category down in the marketing department of your business. You can look into doing geo farming, geographical farming. We have a whole component on teaching you how to properly do that. I want to know what the turnover is. I want to know how many homes are in there. Can you sustain mailers to them for 12 to 24 months? So that falls into your geo farming. Another category is absentee owners. Absentee owners, obviously, they own a house here, but they live in another state or in another area. With absentee owners, there's two paths that you can take on that because you don't know if they're an investor. You don't know in your initial contact with them if they are someone that could not sell at the time they needed to move because the house was underwater. They owed more than what the loan was. Because again, something to remember, a lot of people who have security clearances cannot have a short sale, a foreclosure, any of that on their credit history. Because if they do, they run the risk of having their security clearance pulled, which means they're out of a job. Because it flags them as being in a financial difficulty and easier to be bribed. Not a good thing. So the absentee owners that at the time were maybe relocated to another footprint, but yet were underwater and couldn't sell because the market had done this little dive thing, they hung on to it until a later point in time, which could be now, that they're going, okay, I'm not getting transferred back to that footprint. So we're above water now. Let's consider selling. It also could fall into the category of it was mom and dad's house. They needed to just get mom out of there because sadly dad's gone. They needed to get mom closer to them. And instead of dealing with trying to sell it, they just use it as a rental property. Again, so the owner lives somewhere else. We don't know up front which category they fall into. All we know is they're an absentee owner. But again, we have taught you how to get the right message to the right target and ask the right questions, hopefully to get the information back. Okay. Another category that you can do for marketing to generate future business is renters who are wanting to become a first-time home owner and doing a home buyer's workshop. I did those for years. Loved doing them, and I've taught you the good, better, the best of how to do those as well. So if that is something that appeals to you, that is one of the options as well. Another option you can consider is working with investors. Now, again, there's two categories of investors. They're the ones that buy and flip, that buy, repair, and flip, or the ones that are investor that's buying a second property for rental purposes or a vacation home in another area. So again, if you're going to say, I want to do investors, let's be crystal clear on what type of investor you're wanting to go and work with and go after. All right, next category down is expired listings. Yes, expired listings are a category within itself because in any market, there are expired listings. Now, here's personal opinion on this one. This is just my personal opinion. You can do whatever you want, but this is my opinion. If I were to be going after expired listings, you never, ever, ever want to criticize the previous listing agent, especially if it was a listing agent from your brokerage, because word travels fast. It's a small world and you don't want it done to you. You don't do it to somebody else. That's called the golden rule. So expired listings, yes, you can go after, but I would be personally, again, this is my personal 2 cents. I would be very careful if it was another Samson agent going after their expired listing. I'd want to know a little more. Again, was it the agent? Was it the homeowner that was unrealistic, a pain in the patoot, priced the property too high and wouldn't budge and come down? Therefore, it ran its course and expired. In that case, it's not the agent's. Well, one could say it was the agent's fault because the agent was not able to explain, share, or convince the homeowner that their property was overpriced. And that comes with skill and strategy as well. Okay. Open houses. Yes, you can get leads for future transactions from open houses. Yes, sometimes you can get them from neighbors who might be around either immediately or down the bend needing to sell. They may have come in, seen the open house, took a liking to you, and hung onto your business card for a year or more, and then called you out of the blue. That is a possibility. Open houses, but you got to know the numbers. I have taught the class on doing a good, better, best open house. I have also taught and explained how, if you're going to do open houses, you better know the numbers. In some areas, you can get 10, 20, 30 at an open house. In some areas, you're lucky if you get 2. So you've got to sometimes experiment a little bit in your footprint. How are open houses going in your footprint? Because in some areas, they're not going over well. In other areas, they're blowing it off the market. But here's the other takeaway on open houses. Just because someone walked in the door does not mean they are a potential buyer. They could be a looky-loo. They could be a neighbor just wanting to see what's happening. They could be a student in an interior design class whose homework assignment was to go critique homes interior decorating. How do I know that? Because years ago, my girlfriend was going through interior design school, and her homework one weekend was to go to 5 properties or new housing developments and critique the interior design. I went with her. Were we potential buyers? No. But we told the agent when we walked in, that's why we were there. She was doing her homework. So not everybody that walks in the front door is in fact a potential buyer. But I hear all the time agents say, well, 4 potential buyers walked in. No, maybe 1 potential buyer walked in and the other ones were just bored and saw a sign and, had 10 minutes to kill before the movie that they were going to go to. So you want to be clear in mindset that not everybody that walks in the door of an open house is in fact ready, willing, or able to buy. So what are the numbers with an open house? Some stats have said for every 1 client, you need to do at least 10 open houses with at least 4 to 5 coming in the front door. Those are some of the numbers. Those agents and big teams that do open houses regularly, they track their numbers. They know exactly they need to do X number of open houses with X number of bodies coming through the front door to get 1 buy or additional sell from it. There you go. And again, understanding the reason for the open house is to look for your next client. It is typically not to sell that house. That is the truth behind open houses, because less than 1/2 of 1% that walk in the door are going to buy that house immediately. And if they are, I'm going to say, a higher price point, they're already working with an agent because more than likely they need to sell what they have in order to buy. So they may be out looking to see what's out there in different areas and floor plans or whatever. Well, they're waiting for their agent to get their property sold. They're a body in the front door, but they're not necessarily a qualified, ready, willing, and able buyer. So again, know your numbers, know the strategy, know the techniques, and know how to evaluate your numbers to get what you want. Now, I will sometimes hear an agent say, well, I want to get 4 clients or 5 clients from open houses, but they're only going to do one open house a month. I'm sorry, those numbers don't add up. That's like saying I want to do 10 transactions from repeat and referral business. I have 20 people in my database and I never stay in touch with them. The numbers don't add up. All right. Now, next category is relocation. Those that are either military relocation or relocation because of job, here's the challenge. There's 1,000,001 relocation experts, military relocation experts in our footprint. Years ago, way back when, we used to be able to, if we had someone that worked in HR, you could often partner with a big company and be the referral source to help their employees that are moving in or moving out of their footprint to help with that. That doesn't work as well as it used to. So although it is an option, I'm going to say it's not one of your better options unless you got your foot in the door. Now, what a lot of the big companies have since done is they've hired a real estate agent to work with them. And so they pay the real estate agent and they help with the relocation stuff. All right. I don't know all the details on that, but somehow they will make that happen. All right. Next category over is new construction. Now, do you want to sell new construction or do you want your buyers to all buy new construction? We need to be crystal clear on what you mean when you say, I want to work new construction. Because a lot of times, if you're going to work on the sell side of new construction, you have to move your real estate license to that company because they have their own broker's license. So you have to work for them. You're not working for Samson or any other brokerage other than the new build. Now, if you're wanting to say, well, I want to drive my consumers, my potential buyers to new construction, that's okay too. In that scenario, you better know all about the new construction sites in your footprint. All right, let's go on to the next category. I think we're coming down on 24. You can do vendor or craft fairs. There is a whole training component on how to do a successful vendor or craft fair. There is strategy as to knowing who the consumer is that's coming, how to target a proper message to that clientele. Understand that oftentimes a vendor or vendor fair is going to cost some money up front. They're not always cheap, whether it's a bridal bazaar, RV show, believe it or not, because a lot of times people will sell their home or get ready to sell their home, buy an RV to travel the country. I've seen that happen multiple times. So doing an RV show, most agents don't even think about it, but there's a hidden gem. Again, if it pulls you 1 or 2 transactions a year, that's 1 or 2 more than you had on the books. Craft fairs as well, vendor fair, bridal bazaars, RV shows, even boat shows, because not every boat is going to go in the water all the time. It's going to be housed in a garage or on a property. So if they're buying a boat, they may need to have a larger property. Home and garden shows are the other one that are on that list. Again, they may be going to a home and garden show, comparing, do I want to, upgrade everything, or do I just want to sell and buy it all done? So again, that's another component. There is some strategy and logistics as to where you pick your booth within a footprint of a vendor fair. I share that in that particular class. So again, there's some minuscule fine tuning that'll increase your odds, and what to ask for and key questions to ask, and what to do and what not to do. That's all given to you. All right. The next category for marketing your business and marketing yourself is social media. Now, coming up in a couple of ideas, the social media agents either love it or hate it. And I'm okay with either one. I am not convinced that one social media platform is the end all, be all, cure all of your real estate woes. In fact, I've got a class coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be taking a look at social media. Is it even right for you? And we're taking a deep dive look into every component, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, TikTok, all those things. We're going to look at the numbers, who are typically on those sites. Is that the target that you're wanting to go after? We're covering it all. I'm very excited about that class coming up. All right. The last one on my list, which is number 26, is estate and probate. Yes, people pass all the time. And oftentimes there needs to be a property cleaned out and sold. Again, that was one of the niches that I had in California. I did it for years. I had a handful of attorneys that would give me the clients that needed to have their property sold, either because of divorce or because of an estate and probate. So I have developed that whole component out, and keep an eye on the pulse, and I'm constantly digging in to make sure that I still have the best ideas, the best concepts, and the best numbers that go with that. All right. So there are the 26 options that you can pick for a second, a third, and or a fourth pillar for your marketing department. So here's how you determine. You stop and look at that list and you go, okay, on my worst day ever, like I got a headache, I'm having a bad hair day, I broke a fingernail day, I stubbed my toe day, I stepped on the cat's tail day, your funky day. Which of those components could you get excited about working regular and consistent? This is not oh, I'm going to try that for a month or two. Because as we just shared in our previous class, 50 Ways to Promote Yourself on Little to No Budget, one of the things I shared was that 3-7-5 or 3-7-27 rule. And that is simply that people need to hear from you 3 times to create recognition. They need to hear from you 7 times before they will start remembering you, the brand, or your service. And they need to hear from you 27 times to build a deep trust or top of mind awareness. That class is recorded and available for you to listen to already. Now, when you're looking at these additional pillars, it also comes down to how much business do you want to do? If you're just part-time or dual career, obviously your database and one other is going to help get you going. If you're a full-time real estate agent, the best scenario is to have 4, at least 4 developed out, fine-tuned, spot on, bullseye for that particular component for all 3 or 4 of them. Now, so give that some thought. On the handout, which will be posted, it gives you a spot to determine what are the other 2 or 3 systems you want to put into place. Once you have made that decision, All of these classes have already been recorded. They're in our Samson University, and they're also on my website, I think named Samson College, because it's not as big as the university. But on my website, I have them there right now because they're going to shadow over into Samson University. But because Samson University is undergoing a little bit of a makeover right now, I built it out on my site, as you know, lynnhamilton.samsonproperties.net. I've added a tab for you, our agents. This is Agent Resource Center. It'll give you a drop-down box of about 5 different pages. The main one is the learning trails. There's step-by-step guide to building your business, and they will be in there in the library there, and they are numbered. So once you have determined which of those pillars or tires you want to build out, then you want to take your next step to find that recording, print out the handout that goes with it. It's right there. And listen to it intently. And then ask yourself, A, can I get excited about this on my worst day when I'm having a bad day? Am I willing to commit to it for a year or more? And then what do I need to do? So again, once you build it out, or at least got your categories, here's how you build it out. One of 2 ways. Both ways are okay. It just depends on how your brain processes and functions. Now, you've got 4 categories now picked out. There are 4 weeks in the year, There are 4 weeks in a month. So what I would recommend, which is what I used to do, what I was taught to do, the first week of the month, I would go in to the 8 to 8:30 time block. And first week of the month was always my database, my SOI. Monday through Sunday, whatever. That was flagged in there, color coded. So I remembered the first week of the month, I focused on my database. I made sure newsletters went out. I made sure I had my, follow-up touch points. I made sure if I had birthday cards that needed to go out, they got done the first of the month. They sat in a crystal napkin holder on my desk. And where the postage stamp would go was the date that I needed to mail it. Then when I saw that date, I'd pull it out, stick the stamp on it, and out the mail it would go. It was already prepped. I would take the time to write a couple of handwritten notes to someone. Again, I'd stagger it in there with the date I wanted to mail in pencil, where the postage stamp would go. I would, if I needed to reach out and get a concierge information from someone in my database that I didn't have all their information, that's what I would do. So the first week of the month, 5 days was focused on touching points to my SOI. If I knew, because I tracked it, the anniversary month of when they bought their property, I'd have it flagged there as well. So that first week was focused on that. And that 8 to 8:30 time block, color coded, was my reminder that that was my priority for the week. Second week of the month is your second pillar. So let's pretend that you wanted to go for sale by owners. You would obviously listen carefully to that class. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret. I went a couple years ago to a for sale by owner class. I paid $1,500 to go to that class. I give it to you free of charge. Everything is already mapped out. The strategy, the timing, the handouts, the free reports, it's all already done. So if I was going to do for sale by owners, my second week of the month, I'd have it on my calendar. 8 to 8:30 for sale by owner. And that was my reminder that I was to focus. My first focus was to work on the for sale by owners. Have I researched in Zillow or Realtor? There is a for sale by owner tab in there. Guess what? I would make sure I have the information. I would follow my instructions and reach out to them. Because as an agent, part of my job was to know the inventory. And that property is an inventory item. I would arrange to go preview it. I would never tell them, oh, I can list your house for you. That's not what they want to hear right now. That's part of the pinpoint strategy of coming at them from a different angle. I would make sure I had those appointments set up. If I was uncomfortable doing that, I'd have somebody go with me. I'd stop in. I knew my key questions to ask. I knew my key things that I was looking for, because again, if I have a buyer, it's my job as an agent to know what the inventory is. And MLS is only one of the components that will provide you properties that could potentially be available. What I'm asking the for sale by owner is may I add you to my list? Because if I come across a buyer that this is what they're looking for, I just want to know that yours is an option. All right. And 8 times out of 10, a for sale by owner will end up listing with an agent. And if you come at it from the right direction, in the right way, more than likely, you're going to end up with that listing. They will end up calling you and say, hey, would you be interested in taking the listing? And you're like, okay. All right. But the second week of the month, whatever my second pillar was that was my focus, my target. Third week of the month, Monday through Sunday, 8 to 8:30. I put it on my calendar. I set it, the whole week. I would color code it for my third pillar. Let's say I was doing first-time home buyer workshops. So I had that time blocked off, and that week I focused. My primary focus was to make sure that anything and everything that pertaining to my home buyer workshops were at the ready and ready to go. Because when did I do mine? I did them the first Saturday of the month and the first Thursday of the month. So by doing that week 3, I was making sure I was getting my reminders out, my notices out, my every little detail all prepped and ready before it rolled around again, and follow up with those who had attended the previous week or the previous event. Okay, so that's the third week of the month. Now, if you're going to have a fourth pillar, you're getting the flow of it. So the fourth week of the month on the calendar, again, 8 to 8:30, I'd list what it was, color code it, and have it run mentally so I could see it as a reminder that that week I was going to focus on estate and probate. Now, I made sure that I got my packet that was all looking good. If I needed to update it, if I needed to print it out, did I follow up with anybody that I may be starting to work with? Did I reach out to my SOI and say, hey, I'm working on a project and I need your help? I'm often asked to help with an estate or probate sale. Here's my question. Have you ever had to clean out an estate? And if so, where did grandma hide it? Where did you find something that was hidden that you would have never thought where it was hidden at? Now, this serves 2 purposes. It reminds them that that is one of your specialties. People love to give and provide information to help you. I need your help. I'm working on a project. They now know. So when they hear of unfortunate loss of a friend or family, it will ring their bell that, oh, wait, Lynn's my go-to source because she does this a lot because I gave her information when I had to clean up my grandmother's place where I found money hidden at. So that helps you stay top of mind for that component as well. So my focus that week was to reach out to my SOI to ask those questions of, hey, have you ever had to clean out an estate? Did you find something hidden somewhere that you thought, whoa, I would almost didn't look there? Is your packet update? Do you need to reach out to another attorney? Do you want to make that contact and that connection? That was the third week of the month. That was the focus. Now, that does not mean that if week one you get a call from an attorney that wants to meet with you, you don't say, oh, well, no, I only do that the fourth week of the month. Don't be silly. But you knew what your focus was, your database, the first of the week, and then you fill in the other time slots with whatever else happens to pop up. But when you're focused on making sure you get that marketing pillar nurtured and taken care of, you know that you're available after 12 to go do whatever else pops up. Okay. Now, that's one way in which to look at it. There's another. Again, it all depends on how your brain likes to work. You could take it and say, okay, every Monday, because there's Monday every week, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Every Monday, I work on my database. That's my priority. Get it done in the morning, and then I can go on to whatever else needs to happen or get done. Every Tuesday, there's Tuesday in every week as well, in case you didn't know that. Every Tuesday, I'm going to focus on my second pillar, which is, for the example, for sale by owner. So every Tuesday, I will make sure that I've reached out to new for sale by owners. I followed up with the previous ones. Is your property still available? I'm just updating my list. So it can be done that way. Third day of the month, third day of the week, Wednesday would be your third pillar. And Thursday is your fourth pillar. And again, you focus it that way. So again, it can either go first week of the month, second week of the month, third week of the month, fourth week of the month, or it can be the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday. When you break it down in one of those two formats, your brain is going to be relieved because you have it on your calendar and it serves as the reminder. Now, I had my little file folders with the topics on them. If I thought of something, so I wouldn't forget, I'd either write it down on a note paper or a post-it note, and I would stick it in the folder for that week, for that pillar. So let's say, for example, the first week of the month, I think is something about on the estates that I wanted to do. I just stick the reminder in there. That way, when it was time for me to pull that and focus on that, I had my reminders. And that way my brain was not doing this all over the place. Because the minute your brain starts doing this, you can't focus on anything. We're all a little ADD, so let's just get over that. But by breaking it down, it makes your time much more productive because you're staying focused. Oh, wait, we talk about that time blocking in Jumpstart sessions 1 and or 2. The importance of time blocking. You stay focused, you know what's coming up, you're not being distracted by all the other stuff you're forgetting to do or trying to remember all the stuff that you want to do because your brain's just going like this all over the place. So envision, you remember those little pinball games where you pull the little lever back and it shoots the ball out and it goes bing, 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 bing all over the place? That's our brains most of the time. So by staying focused on one week of the month or one day of the month, it's going to allow your brain to process and develop out each and every one of your tires so that you've got stuff coming in from all direction. So, all of these things work. It's what hits your hot button. What can you get excited about? And on your worst day, when you've stubbed your toe, broke a fingernail, got a bad hair day, you name it, can you still stay focused and excited about doing? There you have it. That is it. So if you want in the chat box, or if you want to email me, if you're watching this at a later point in time, send me an email as to what your 2, 3, or 4 pillars you want them to be. And I will do my best to add that to your, your note card in my database that I monitor, and make sure that you've got the training components and the support, or to ask how it's going. Because I know all of these things work, but it's what is the fine tuning, the fine tweaking that you can do to that component to make you stand out, to do it better than most, and stay laser focused to reap the rewards and reap the results of your marketing efforts. Now, I will tell you, at my peak, I think I had 5, because I had my database. I did the bridal bazaars. That forced us into doing first-time homebuyer workshops. Then I had the divorce component and the estate component. That's what I had. And the beauty of most of these, they're recession proof. Again, you know me, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Todd Bates, I went to his workshop early in my real estate career, and he taught recession proof marketing. Now, I tried to track him down a couple of years ago and was saddened and heartbroken to find out that he had passed away. He was way too young. But what he taught me has carried on and kept me sustained through my real estate career for all those years. Even when the market took a dump, I didn't know it took a dump. Nobody ever told me. But now I get to pass that wisdom and that knowledge on to you as well, so that you can enjoy the ride and enjoy the benefits of what this industry can bring you. Even when things are shifting and changing, which it's going to do, you can still just float right along and keep on going. So give me a thumbs up if this has been helpful. Throw a comment in the chat box if you'd like. If you are watching this on replay later, know the handout is there. And once you've made the decision, email me and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know which 2, 3, or 4 pillars you're wanting to build out. And remember that all of this right now is available on my website on the learning trails. But once you've gone through everything first, then you decide what you're going to do, then you build them out. All right, my friends, there you have it in its glory. Hope this has been helpful. I'm seeing some smiling faces. I'm seeing some thumbs up. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to join me. And again, this will be downloaded and uploaded on my website on the learning, listen and learn. This is from our Thursday class, listen and learn. You can download them anytime. But once you do, subscribe to the channel, because that way next time I post something, it'll give you a bing that a new video has been posted. Give it a heart as a like and a nice comment, so that other agents can see it as well and see what they've missed and hopefully dive in as well. All right, you've been wonderful. You've been awesome. If you've got a question, email me directly. Let me check real quick in our chat box to see. I think there were a couple of questions that popped in. Yep, some good comments there. Home improvement show. Yeah, that's another one. What class? Dolly, I'll get back with you, let you know. Yes, this will absolutely help you refine how you work the pillars. You've got to decide which ones you want to get excited over, because somebody else may go, I had no way and you know where I'm ever going to do X, Y, or Z. But if it hits your hot button, let's make sure it's fine-tuned, perfected, and ready to run. All right, my friends, go be wonderful, go be awesome. And again, I don't care what you know. I want to know what you're doing with what you know. Let me know how I can help, and enjoy this recording on its replay coming soon. All right, I'll see you in the next class. Bye for now.